Hello everyone, so in this one we're going to have another look at selection, but we're going to be focusing on the switch statement, or sometimes called the case of statement. Alright, so let's have a look. So I've already created my Java project. I've called it switch tutorial, and I've already imported my scanner, and I've already set my scanner up. Okay, so I'm just going to now put a system outline, and I'm going to give a list of options here. Okay, so I'm basically going to say press 1, sorry, in speech marks, press 1 to, let's say, start machine. Okay, this will become more clear in a second. And then I'm going to do my /n, which will start a new line. Okay, and then I'm going to maybe say 2 to stop the machine. Maybe have another one that's so I'm going to do my /n again to start a new line, and then say maybe number 3 to pause the machine. And then finally maybe I'll do another /n to start a new line, and then maybe finally I'll have 4 to call for help, something like that. Okay, now I'm just going to run this so you can see what I've done so far, and you can see it's just given me an option field, all right, or an option menu would probably be a better choice of words here. So so you can see the option menu just here. Okay, so 1, start the machine, 2, stop the machine, 3, pause the machine, and 4, call for help. So I'm going to use what we call a switch statement, or you might hear it called a case of statement, to create a process in which if I select number 1, it will give me a message to say start the machine, and so on. Okay, so to do this, we use the keyword switch. Okay, and then inside of my, sorry, there's one thing I haven't done yet. I need to invoke, or I need to create my scanner to take in this input. Apologies. So let's have it, it's going to be an integer, and I'm just going to call it choice and make it equal to user input dot next int. Okay, if you're not sure about scanners, please go back and watch the scanner video. And now I'm going to start my switch statement. So I'm going to say switch keyword, and then in brackets I'm going to refer to this variable here because I want to look at choice. And then, like everything we do in Java, I'm going to open my curly braces, and you'll see it closes the curly braces. Now it will take you back down to this line, and it will work fine, but if you kind of like the way it looks when it's indented, there's no problem with indenting either. Now the first thing I need to do is invoke or make the code, so when I press 1, give me a message to say the machine started. So I'm going to say case, and then I'm going to say 1, and then put a colon. Okay, and then again, this can go on the same line if you want, but I'm just going to put it down below. I think it looks a little bit neater, but if you like it on the same line, that's not a problem. And then I'm just going to give a system out just to say, sorry, system out just to say machine has started. And then you need to put a break command underneath, like that. Okay, and I'll show you what happens in a little bit, what happens if you don't do the break command. Then I'm going to say case of 2, and then we can put machine stopped, and then break again, and then case 3, I can say case 3 again, pause, machine paused, break, sorry, I've put these should be semicolons, I put full colons because I was just writing Python, that's why. So that should be a colon. And then finally, case 4 was for emergencies, to call for help, I think, if I remember correctly. So here I'm just gonna, and then maybe just help. Okay, then again break, and then finally, and you don't have to put this, but it is good practice too, I'm going to put a default, and for the default I'm just going to say invalid command. Okay, so let's break this down before we run the code. So I've created the scanners and stuff. If you're not sure about the scanner, you can go back and look in the scanner tutorial. And then I've used the keyword switch, and I've used my variable that I've used for the scanner. And I'm saying case 1, so in case of the variable choice being value 1, carry out this. And then I press break. Now, I'll show you in a second what happens when I press break, but this basically breaks the statement and stops it from running the rest. Okay, so, and that's important, and I'll show you in a second how that happens. And then if it's case 2, I run this line. If case value is 3, I run that line. If the case value 4, I run this line. If it's none of those, by default, print that. Okay, now one thing I want to say just before I run this is that switch statements are only really used for integer variables and string variables. Okay, you're not really going to use them for anything else. All right, and they do have a time and a place, although they are nowhere near as common as if statements. But for a menu system like this, they work great. All right, so let's run it and see what happens. So you can see it says press 1 to start the machine, stop the machine, 2, 3 to pause, and 4 call for help. So if I press 1, you can see it says machine has started. If I run it again, let's do 2, we'll just run through them all, machine has stopped. Let's run again, I'll do 3, you can see machine has paused. Run it again, if I do 4, you can see it says help, and then if I run it again, and if I just press 5, for example, it's going to say invalid command. Okay, so the last thing I want to look at before I finish this video is if I take this break command out. So this break command kind of stops the switch statement from running. Okay, and if you're running number 1, for example, it will stop it there when I ran number 1 and stop it from going to the next case, and so on. So if I don't do the break, or if I don't put a break in there, and I enter number 1, you will see that it's said machine has started, and then went straight on to machine has stopped, and then it's broke because I've put the break command in there. But if I was to take the break command out of all of my statements like this, and I was to run it and then press number 1 again, so not there, in here, you'll see it's going to run through the whole thing. So the break command is important. Okay, so remember, the break command needs to be there to stop your case statement or your switch statement from running on to the next case. Okay, so that is switch statements, or sometimes called case of statements. Have a play around, make some menus of your own. It's not too complicated, and as I said, they're not as common as if statements, but they could come up on your assessment, and you probably will use them for your internal assessment as well. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.